The Ghost of the Alamo, a family adventure. Arrival and peculiarities. The Peterson family piled out of their rented minivan, blinking in the Texas sun. 12-year-old Lily, whose nose was usually buried in a historical fiction novel, gasped at the sight of the Alamo. "It's smaller than I imagined," she whispered, a touch of awe in her voice. Her older brother, 15-year-old Sam, already had his phone out, live streaming. "Yo, what's up, fam?" Sam P. in the house. "We're at the Alamo, birthplace of Texas liberty, blah, blah, blah." He spun his phone to show his dad, Mark, a history teacher who valued facts over flair, already adjusting his glasses, a serious expression on his face. "Samuel, put that away." "This is hallowed ground," Mark admonished, though his eyes gleamed with his own quiet reverence. "Remember, kids, this isn't just a building. It's where brave men stood for what they believed in." Their mom, Sarah, ever the pragmatist, was checking her watch. "Let's get in before the heat really kicks up. And remember, no running or yelling." Inside the cool, stone walls, the air seemed to hum with echoes of the past. Lily immediately gravitated towards the display cases, reading every plaque with intense concentration. Mark was enthralled by a diorama depicting the battle, muttering historical facts to himself. Sarah was trying to keep track of Sam, who was attempting to get a selfie with every historical marker. It started subtly. As Sam tried to take a picture of a musket in a display, his phone flickered, then displayed a blurry image of what looked like an old, tattered uniform. "Whoa," he mumbled, thinking it was a glitch. He tried again, and this time, the phone went completely black before restarting itself. Lily, meanwhile, was at the front desk, looking at a replica of a historical map. She felt a cold prickle, despite the warm air. A whisper, faint but distinct, seemed to brush her ear. "Not right." She spun around, but no one was close enough to have spoken. She shrugged it off, attributing it to the building's chilling history. Later, as they moved into the long barack, a small, unassuming tin soldier sitting in a display case seemed to wobble. Mark, mid-sentence about Jim Boy's knife, paused. "Did that just?" He squinted, then shook his head. "Must be tired." But it wasn't just tiredness. In the gift shop, as Sarah browsed postcards, a rack of "Remember the Alamo" t-shirts mysteriously slid off their hangers, forming a crumpled pile on the floor. The young shop assistant, looking flustered, blamed a faulty rack. "This place is giving me the creeps," Sam declared as they finally stepped back into the blinding sun. "My phone's acting weird, and I swear I heard a creak in every shadow." Lily, however, was quiet. She knew it wasn't just the heat or creaks. She could still feel that whisper, a faint resonance, a presence. As they walked away, she glanced back at the stone facade of the Alamo. For a fleeting second, she thought she saw a translucent, shimmering figure standing in an upper window, waving a thin, almost invisible hand. Then it was gone. Back at their hotel, while Mark was immersed in a history book and Sarah organized their next day's itinerary, Sam was trying to upload his Alamo footage. But the file was corrupted. All he had was static, and then a series of rapid, rhythmic taps, like a drumbeat, overlaid with a strange, high-pitched whistling. "Dad, listen to this," Sam called, playing the audio. Mark took off his glasses. "That's odd. Sounds like interference." But Lily, listening intently, felt a chill again. She recognized the whistling. It was a familiar, mournful tune. A tune she'd heard somewhere before, perhaps in a movie or a history documentary. But where? And why was it on Sam's corrupted file? The Alamo, it seemed, wasn't quite done with the Petersons, the whispers and the clues. The next morning, Lily woke with a sense of urgency. The whistling tune from Sam's phone was stuck in her head. She knew it was important. As she ate breakfast, she saw Mark engrossed in a book about the Alamo siege. "Dad," she began, "did any of the soldiers at the Alamo play an instrument? Like a fife or something?" Mark looked up, surprised. "Well, yes, Lily. Fifes and drums were crucial for military communication. They'd play calls to action, retreat, reveille." "Why do you ask?" "No reason," Lily mumbled, but a spark ignited in her mind. A fife. That was it. The whistling was a fife. Throughout the day, the strange occurrences continued, growing bolder. At a souvenir shop near the Riverwalk, a stack of Alamo guidebooks tumbled over, neatly spelling out Fife with their spines. Sarah, convinced it was a draft, quickly restacked them. Sam, playing a game on his phone, suddenly found the game glitching, replacing character names with Will and Diary. That evening, back in their hotel room, Lily found the courage to speak to Sam. "Sam, have you noticed anything really weird? Beyond just phone glitches?" Sam scoffed. "Weird? My life's a glitch, Lil. But yeah, my phone keeps showing me weird words. Will. Diary. What's up with that? And the fife music?" Lily pressed. Sam's eyes widened. "You heard that too?" "I thought it was just bad reception." "I think," Lily whispered, "there's a ghost at the Alamo. And it's trying to talk to us." Sam, despite his usual cynicism, looked genuinely unnerved. "A ghost? Are you serious?" "It keeps trying to tell us something," Lily insisted, explaining the tin soldier, the t-shirts, the guidebook message. "I think it needs our help." Their secret ghost meetings began. Lily, with her historical knowledge, and Sam, with his tech savviness, became an unlikely duo. They tried to capture evidence, but anything overtly supernatural either wouldn't show up on camera or would glitch into static. The ghost, however, became more direct with them. Notes would appear, written in shaky, old-fashioned script, on condensation on the bathroom mirror or on the fogged car window. Words like missing, beloved, promise. One afternoon, while the family revisited the Alamo, the ghost's presence was undeniable. A cold breeze swept through the warm interior, and a faint, sweet smell of pipe tobacco filled the air. Lily felt a distinct tug on her shirt. She followed the sensation, which led her to a less visited corner near a historical marker detailing the last stand. There, on a dusty ledge, she found it, a small, tarnished silver locket. It was clearly ancient. As Lily picked it up, a wave of melancholy washed over her. She saw, in her mind's eye, a fleeting image of a young man, earnest eyes, a slight smile, holding a similar locket. He was wearing a Texas military uniform. He seemed to be playing a fife. Sam, who had been accidentally bumping into display cases, trying to recreate the fife message, saw Lily with the locket. "Whoa, where'd you get that?" "I think the ghost gave it to me," Lily breathed. "It feels old and sad." Back at the hotel, they showed the locket to their parents. Mark, initially skeptical, took the locket. "This is genuine. It's an authentic piece, likely from the mid-19th century." "Where did you find it?" Lily and Sam exchanged a quick glance. On the ground, near a display," Sam mumbled, while Lily just nodded. Mark, intrigued, carefully opened the locket. Inside, faintly visible, were two tiny, faded photographs. One was of a young woman with kind eyes. The other was of a man, likely the one Lily had seen, with a striking resemblance to the woman. Etched on the back, almost illegibly, were the initials, W.M. and a single, faded word, remember. W.M., Mark mused. Could be a soldier. There were hundreds who fought here. But for Lily and Sam, W.M. wasn't just initials. They knew it was Will. The ghost was trying to tell them about Will. The mystery was deepening, and they felt a growing connection to the invisible inhabitant of the Alamo. They knew they had to help Will remember and find whatever it was he was looking for. The search for Will's beloved. The locket became the key. Lily and Sam, now fully committed to helping Will, started their own clandestine investigation. Mark, stimulated by the authentic locket, started researching WM soldiers who fought at the Alamo, unknowingly helping their ghostly quest. The ghost of Will, encouraged by their progress, became more active, though still mischievous. He'd make the hotel TV flip to historical documentaries, cause their tablets to display old maps of San Antonio, and even once, when Mark was trying to explain the battle strategy, Will made the salt and pepper shakers on the table arrange themselves into a perfect, miniature Alamo defense line. Mark just chuckled. Kids, very funny. Lily, with her sharp mind for details, began to piece together the ghost's cryptic messages with Mark's research. They learned about a soldier named William Miller, a Fifer from Tennessee, who was indeed at the Alamo. His records showed he'd left a beloved keepsake with a local family before the siege, a small diary meant for his sister back home. But the diary was never recovered. The diary, Lily exclaimed to Sam during one of their hushed late-night talks. That's what he wants us to find. He promised his sister he'd keep it safe, but he had to leave it behind. Their mission shifted. Find William Miller's diary. The clues from Will became more specific, guiding them through San Antonio. The ghost would cause old bells to chime at specific hours related to the siege, or arrange pebbles on the ground to form rudimentary arrows pointing towards old, historical parts of the city. One particularly frustrating afternoon, Will, in his desperation, caused an entire rack of tourist brochures outside a historic mission to spill. As Mark and Sarah helped the shop owner clean up, Lily noticed a single, old-fashioned bookmark among the modern brochures. It was made of faded, pressed flowers, and on the back, in faint, elegant script, was an address: 17 Pecan Street. Pecan Street. Lily gasped. That's an old part of town. They managed to convince their parents to visit the historic Pecan Street homes the next day. As they approached number 17, an old, charming but slightly dilapidated house, Lily felt a strong pull, a palpable sense of Will's presence. The air was colder, and a faint fife tune played in her mind. The house was now a small, private antique shop, owned by a kind, elderly woman named Mrs. Elena Rodriguez. She welcomed them warmly. As they browsed, Will's ghostly energy crackled around them. A small, delicate teacup wobbled on a shelf. A vintage photo frame fell, harmlessly, onto a soft rug. Oh dear, Mrs. Rodriguez chuckled. The old house has its moments. Sometimes I think the spirits of old San Antonio still linger. Lily's heart pounded. This was it. She saw an old, wooden writing desk in the corner, covered in dust. A sudden, strong surge of cold air enveloped her, and the fife music in her head swelled. It was here. The diary was here. Lily casually asked Mrs. Rodriguez about the desk. Oh, that old thing, Mrs. Rodriguez smiled sadly. It belonged to my great-great-grandmother. She was a young woman during the Alamo siege. She collected all sorts of things. But I'm afraid it's just a dusty old relic now. While Mark and Sarah looked at other items, Lily found a small, hidden latch on the desk. She looked at Sam, who gave her an encouraging nod. With a soft click, a small, secret drawer sprang open. Inside, nestled among dried rose petals, was a small, leather-bound book. It was old, its pages yellowed and brittle. This had to be it. William Miller's diary. As Lily carefully picked up the diary, she felt a profound sense of peace wash over her, like a soft, warm breeze. The fife music in her head faded, replaced by a feeling of gentle gratitude. She looked up. For a fleeting moment, by the window, she saw a clear, distinct image of William Miller. He was smiling, a look of profound relief on his face. Then he simply dissolved, like mist in the morning sun. He was gone. The diary's tale and resolution. Lily knew, with an absolute certainty, that Will's spirit had finally found peace. He had fulfilled his promise. That evening, the family gathered in their hotel room. Lily, with a mix of reverence and excitement, presented the diary and explained everything. Sam backed her up, detailing the bizarre glitches and messages. Mark and Sarah, initially skeptical, slowly, gradually, came to terms with what their children were telling them, the physical evidence of the locket, and now the diary undeniable. Mark, the historian, was particularly stunned. "So, a ghost really helped us find this?" Mark whispered, leafing through the diary. "Remarkable." The diary of William Miller was a treasure. It detailed his fears and hopes, his love for his family, and his experiences during the Alamo siege. Crucially, it contained heartfelt messages to his sister, recounting his final days and his unwavering belief in the cause of Texas liberty. It also contained a small, pressed flower from his beloved and a final, poignant entry promising he'd find a way to get this diary to his sister, no matter what. The family decided the diary was too important to keep. They consulted with Mrs. Rodriguez, who shared stories of her great-great-grandmother's kindness to soldiers, unknowingly confirming the diary's origin. They then contacted the Alamo's Historical Society. The curator, a stern but passionate woman named Dr. Evelyn Hayes, was initially wary. "A diary found by children? After all these years," she said, eyeing the locket and the diary suspiciously. But as Mark, the history teacher, carefully explained the provenance of the locket, and Lily and Sam, with their innocent but firm conviction, recounted their adventure, Dr. Hayes grew increasingly intrigued. When she read the diary, tears welled in her eyes. "This is incredible," she murmured. "An authentic, first-hand account. And it fills a missing piece of history." The Alamo Historical Society verified the diary's authenticity. It was indeed William Miller's. The family had made a genuinely significant historical discovery. Their story, simplified and without the ghost part for public consumption, was featured in a local San Antonio paper. The locket and the diary were carefully preserved and eventually put on display at the Alamo, with a special mention of the Peterson family's discovery. On their last day in San Antonio, the Petersons visited the Alamo one final time. It felt different now. Less like a museum, more like a monument of living history. As they stood in the quiet courtyard, Lily squeezed Sam's hand. "He's at peace, isn't he?" Sam nodded, a rare, earnest look on his face. "Yeah, Lil. He is." There were no more flickers, no more whispers, no more mischievous pranks. Just the quiet, dignified presence of history. The Alamo was no longer just a building. For the Petersons, it was a place where a lost promise was fulfilled, where a brave soldier found his way home, and where a family, through an extraordinary experience, had grown closer, their bonds strengthened by a shared, unbelievable secret. They left San Antonio with a newfound appreciation for history, for each other, and for the quiet magic that sometimes exists just beyond what we can see. And every time Lily saw a historical landmark, she wondered, just for a moment, what other stories might be waiting, just out of sight, for someone to help them be remembered.